at some point we've got to do this at a normal hour for me.
7:30. Yeah, it's a bit early. Not for me though. Anyway, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
And we're fine. Day 22.
Yes, only 9 more days. How many days are in August?
Quite a few.
Oh my God, I have to look. 31.
31.
So 9 days left.
9 days left, and then we'll think of something else to do.
Yeah, there's a lot out there. We get into all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, well, perhaps we should discuss that right now. But yes.
There you go. But we can discuss a little bit of Buffer.
Oh, Buffer. One of my favorite tools of all time. Not just a cool tool, but an essentially cool tool.
Yes.
An essential tool.
It is actually one of, all right, so Buffer, one of the biggest problems with social media for a lot of organizations is the time to do it, right? It's when, or posting, it takes time. You've got to come up with what you're going to post. Then you have to log into to LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, and you got to put all the stuff out there. And it just seems like a gigantic pain in the ass. Well, Buffer fixes all that.
It does. It's really, really cool. So basically the idea is there is this queue for each social media channel that you have connected. So Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, each one can have a separate queue. And you basically add content to be posted in the queue.
So, and if you do what I do, so I will log into Buffer once a week. And I go and I do all of my social posts for the coming week. And then I walk away. And then throughout the week, stuff is posted, right? So it goes to Facebook, it goes to LinkedIn, it goes to Twitter. And I don't have to log into all of those platforms. I do it all from Buffer.
So Buffer's queue can be set to go out at certain times. So you can say like 9 o'clock in the morning, midday, whatever. You can set these different times. And you can have the same times Monday to Friday, or you can change it. So at weekends, you share maybe 3 times a day. And then during the week, you can set 10 times a day or 20 times a day, whatever suits your needs.
Yeah, and it's different per channel as well, right? You can say, for Facebook, you only want to go once a day, but for LinkedIn, you want to go 3 times a day. And then for Twitter, because Twitter is like Niagara Falls, you want to go like 50 times a day.
Yes. At the moment, for Event Planner News, I have the opportunity to share out every 45 minutes.
On Twitter or on Facebook?
Oh, just on Twitter alone. It sounds a lot. So there's 2.
Well, not on Facebook. It's a lot on Facebook.
Just to be clear, there are 40. There's a slot every 45 minutes. Whether there's anything in that slot or not is a different matter.
Yes.
And I try to fill it up as much as I can. So this is what Buffer's for posting to your social media channels a certain amount of times per day per social media connection.
Yeah. Well, and then it also connects to a good variety of social networks. Like, there's a lot of them that primarily do Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, but Buffer goes a step beyond that, and they actually offer direct posting to Instagram, to TikTok, to, I don't know, I guess where all the young kids hang out now.
Yeah. Oh, and the Facebook thing, and I think LinkedIn as well. Not only can you say, it can allow you to select your business page. So on Facebook, it will give you the chance to say, well, do you want to just go to your personal page, or would you like to go to your business page? And so you can actually post automatically like that. I don't know if it does groups. I'm sure it must do.
It does.
Oh, okay, fine. So it gives you a lot of things you can do, which is really, really cool. So what would so I was going to say why, but so we've covered sorry, I'm reading my own notes and I'm getting confused.
I was kind of letting you just go down that rabbit hole.
Hey, listen, it's Monday. Come on, be nice. So anyway, It does have integrations, which makes things really, really cool. So, for example, you can use Canva right from the buffer to create images.
Which is actually so, and we've got Canva coming up on another episode, but
Yes, we have.
Canva, I've never used the integration, and I should, because we use Canva 50 times a day, right? It is what
Yeah,
we
yeah,
use to design most things. So I really should give it a try, but I think that I done growed up on Buffer and Canva, and they never kind of crossed. So I kind of
yeah,
just keep using them separately.
yeah. It's also integrations with Dropbox, Google Drive, and OneDrive. So if you're not resetting the buffer for your social media, have images that they have created, which are currently located in a shared drive, as I say, either Google Drive, OneDrive, or Dropbox. So it makes adding pictures easier.
Yeah, and even the sharing part is good too. Like a lot of people will collect links throughout the week, right? And they put them. Believe it or not, a lot of people email the links to themselves.
Yeah,
They do all those kind of crazy ways to
yeah,
save links. I use something called Feedly, but Buffer has a really great browser plugin, right? Where you can actually, when you
yes,
see an article, you can just click on the little browser plugin in Chrome, Firefox, or Microsoft Edge and just share directly to Buffer. And because all of your stuff is queuing up, it'll just go into the next time slot.
yeah. I use that a lot for event planning, but I'm sharing out other people's posts and discoveries, whatever. I'm using the browser plugin because it's just so easy to do.
Yeah, and I go in fits and spurts with it. I haven't installed. I'm looking at it right now, but typically because I can combine my Buffer with another tool called Feedly, I will primarily do most of my sharing directly from there. But and I'll forget about the browser plugin for like 2 months, right? And then I'll rediscover it one
Yeah,
day, and then I'll be like, "Oh, this is really great." And then for like a week, I'll use it, and then I go back to Feedly.
yeah. But there you go. So there are two versions. There's the free version, and then there's a paid for version, which comes in various options. You can use the free version and not worry about paying for it because it works really, really well.
Yeah,
But there are limitations though, which we'll get to.
yeah, and a lot of it depends on use case, right? If you're a smaller organization that you don't have a marketing department, or you don't, or I don't know, you just don't share too terribly much, the free, or you only have 3 accounts, you have a LinkedIn, a Facebook, and a Twitter account, that's all you have, the free version is probably going to be enough.
It is. It is. There are limitations. You can connect only 3 social media accounts, and you can schedule up to 10 posts. So when it comes to adding number 11, it won't let you do it. Obviously, when something's been shared and then you have 9 posts in the queue, you can then add number 10.
Yeah, and whereas, because I like to schedule way out over a week, sometimes even a month, um I actually I have a paid plan, but the kicker on mine is I've been on the paid plan so long, I've been grandfathered in on a much lower rate. Um, but again, the paid plan, with the paid plan, you can start adding teams, right? You can, so that, you can have a whole bunch of people in there writing the posts, they're saved as drafts, and then somebody goes in and approves them to go out. So if you're a larger organization, Buffer will work just as well for you as it does for a smaller organization.
If you're like a 1-person business, you might spend the first hour of the day scheduling up your posts, up to 10 of them, and then get on with the rest of your day. And so therefore the free version is going to work just well. It's only when you get into a slightly more complicated setup with teams and social media departments that need to have the ability to schedule stuff themselves. Yeah, you would have to pay for it. But the free one, as I say, I use the free one, and I like the idea of having only 10 because that way I'm sharing stuff that's very fresh that people may not have seen yet.
Yeah, and each use case is different, right? Your use case is perfect, right? And me, because I've got a little bit of a lazy streak and I like to schedule way far out, that way I don't forget. That works too. I mean, either one is valid.
Yeah. So event planners, meeting organizers, conference organizers, this is perfect for you guys because you can spend the first hour of the day that morning scheduling, like coming up, there is a presentation by,
Yep.
and you can then schedule it to share that post like 15 minutes before that presentation starts.
Most organizations do an absolutely awful job with social, right? Especially when
Yeah.
you're on site, right, during the conference. And I'm going to say this, even organizations that put on the best content, the best have the best speakers, all they just, when it comes to the social portion of it, they truly fall down, right? And Buffer actually can help you fix that, right? Most organizations aren't sitting down and saying, it's 12 o'clock, lunch starts here in this period of time, or it's 1 o'clock, this speaker is now going to be on this stage, right? With a link to
Yeah.
the speaker's bio, or whatever it happens to be. No one's doing that. And I mean, we're 10 or 12 years into really heavy social media use by most people, so you should be taking advantage of this silo, right, to
Yeah.
communicate with your attendees, and they just don't. And Buffer does. It allows you to sit down and do your whole conference and schedule it out, so you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about it when you're on site.
So the limitation I described, up to 10 social media posts, waiting to go out, that's not affected by you with your phone walking around a conference, snapping a picture and tweeting it or sharing it on whichever social media network you want.
Yeah.
That's a separate queue of things waiting to go out. So you can mix it. You can program it all up first thing in the morning or first day of the 3-day, 4-day event, whatever. And you can still wander around taking photos and tweeting
And
them.
posting direct.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
posting
it's
it.
not stopping you from posting direct to your
Right.
regular channels.
In fact, you can even go into your queue and say, post now. If you really want it to be shared now and not wait for the queue timing, you can just go off and do it.
Yeah. And I think you're more the short, you like to keep things scheduled in the short term, right? Because you're doing event planner news, it's more newsy kind of stuff, right? So now is
I
what
like the idea that, first thing in the morning, people can look at the upcoming posts that have even been published that morning or from the previous day, and they can actually have a look and see it. And I've just scheduled it all so I can get on with writing a blog post.
Yeah.
Or preparing for for our August thing. So
Whereas I'm more, I will sit down on a Sunday with a cup of coffee and I will schedule out as absolutely far as I can go. In fact, I schedule so far out that I forget that they've run out.
well, there's that. Oh, but the thing is, I think this is where we disagree on things because I don't think you should schedule too far ahead because that's happened in the past to various social media teams. They posted something and automated it, only to find there's been a world disaster.
Yeah.
But they've shared a post that is totally inappropriate, and
Well,
they've been roasted for it.
You have, and I think I've done it too, right? But what you have to do is, if there is major breaking news, right? Let's wait, I'm in America, so during the next shooting, you have to remember to go back into your Buffer, but at least it's all in one place, right? You don't have to go to each individual network, and review your posts that are coming up. Maybe you pause a few, so you're not tweeting, happy messages 2 minutes after it happens. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
2 minutes after it happens, so you do actually have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, there is that. There are ways of sharing with other tools like Hootsuite and TweetDeck, but you'll find that Buffer is so much more sensible and so much easier to do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Hootsuite, TweetDeck, Sprout Social, there's nothing wrong with it, right? And if that's the tool that you're used to and you use, great, right? It works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what I think really sets Buffer apart from other planners is its ease of use.
Yeah, it is really, really easy.
It is. It's stupid simple. Well, okay. Are you going to actually show people how it works?
I'm now
Look,
Getting
we're now at the demo
to
portion of the program.
and there it is. That's my
Ooh, but your audio is breaking up. So keep going and we'll see how it works.
all right. Okay, let's see what happens.
Oh,
Okay.
you're back.
Oh, I'm back. Okay, this is my machine. It's not happy.
Look, and I can be
Okay.
I'll be all fancy and change our background so that we're
Yeah, maybe a black one to help.
There you go.
Okay, and you can see all my interesting tabs. Okay, so you can see that for my personal account, I've only got 4 scheduled time. In fact, if you look at tomorrow, you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And these ones are what's remaining. So it's very easy to add something. So I'm going to, I have a friend's website. As you can see there, she's now doing SEO reports. And that's Abby, who we had as a guest before.
Abby's awesome.
Oh, yeah. So I want to share this out. So I'm going to take the easy route, which is use the browser built-in add-on. Not built-in, but yeah, it's the add-on I've added to the browser. So I just click that.
Yeah, and this is, I absolutely dig it because, again, it is super simple. There is nothing to it at all.
Right, so that pops up. So now I can choose the connected social media accounts. So you can see that I've got Event Plan News on Facebook. I have my own personal one, and that's Event Plan News. Now, don't know why they're empty. They should be filled in images like that one is, but they're not.
It's because you're chewing up your bandwidth by sharing all of this and having a live video. And
so I can now click in that space. I should look at this screen, really. Okay, so as you can see, it's filled in the title of the page there, and below is the URL,
which is a trackable URL, so you'll know how many people clicked on it.
Now, for some bizarre reason, it's not picked up any images from that website, but it doesn't matter, because what I can do, oh yeah, there's no images on there. That's fine. Okay, so we don't always have to add an image, but as you can see, design with Canva. Select from Dropbox, select from Google Drive, select from OneDrive. And we didn't mention it, actually. And you can go to Giphy and choose an animated image.
Which, with all the kids, Giphy's all the rage.
Oh, yeah.
That's actually hilarious. I never knew there was Canva integration on that. I'm actually going to try that today because
it's worth checking.
Both tools were always in a separate silo for me, so I never even thought. Right? I don't know. It's like back in the old days, there was chocolate and there was peanut butter.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't have been the guy to invent a Reese's because I would have never thought to put them together.
I'm still not sure it's a good idea, but carry on. Okay.
There you go. All right. Yeah. Now let's add it to a queue and let's show how easy that.
So again, we're in Buffer. We're not on Twitter. We're not in TweetDeck and not anywhere else. So if I now type in some of the letters, which I believe is to be her username. So Polly, as you can see, it's making guesses all the way along. And there it is, Polly Spiral Design and Hosting. My habit is to do a dash, single quote for the title.
Yeah, Americans don't know what that is.
All right, and then I go the other side, and this is where you add your hashtags. Again, easy. So it will start guessing. So I can leave it at that, or you can scroll up and down to what it thinks it is, but that's SEO website. And because it's highlighted, that one, I can just hit return. And let's go for design. Again, top one. And as you can see, I'm using existing hashtags. I'm not reinventing anything, not coming up with a new one because people won't be looking for it. So design. And that's it. You can be much fancier. You can either put in your own thought, your own comment, whatever you like. But that's basically it. And for the purposes of what we're doing, I'm going to leave it like that. So I can now say, add to queue. You do have other options. You can next, or you can schedule it.
Yeah, and that scheduling one is where it comes in really handy. You know, if you're looking at your event over the week, you can schedule things on specific times. So 9 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m. That way,
But
stuff is
that's
going out when you need it to go out.
yeah, but that's outside of the queue. By going by adding to queue, it go in the next available
Correct.
slot in the queue. If you go schedule post, you're hand editing. You're saying what time you want it to go out.
Yes.
So if I click on schedule post, you can see that it's got today, and you can set the times and so on.
So if you have other things in your queue, they're still going to go out at those pre-scheduled times. In addition, the one at the scheduled time will go out at exactly that scheduled time. Now, if you are on the free plan and you can only do 10, that's where you have to be cognizant of how many you have in the queue, right? You know, if you have 10
Exactly,
things
yeah,
in the
because you
queue, you're
can't
not
go
gonna be able to
above
schedule
10.
anything.
Yeah.
So you've got to watch out a little bit. Now, if you even go to the lowest plan of paid that they have, which is not very expensive. I mean, we're talking in the 2 figures a month, not in the 3 or 4. You know, you're able then to have a ton in the regular queue and then be scheduling as well. Now, note that a couple of things to note that you've got to watch out for is your scheduled one going out at the exact same time or so close to the one that's already in your queue that you have to adjust your queue, right? You know, if you have things going out, you know, if your queue is scheduled at 11:05 every day, but for your conference, you're posting things at 11, that means you're going to have 2 back-to-back social posts, which on Twitter, it doesn't really matter. But, you know, on a Facebook or a LinkedIn, you know, you do want to kind of stagger those times a little bit.
And there's a way of dealing with that, which I'll get to. So anyway, I'm just, for the purpose of what we're doing today, I'll just hit on add to queue, and that's it. And it's done. And there it is. Nice and easy. So that's going to go out at 3:30 British Summer Time, or GMT +1, and totally automated. Now, what
and
we
that
can do
is actually what? Go ahead.
So that's automated. That's in there. That will go out at 3:30. I'm now free to add something else.
Yeah, and then you can start to gather analytics on that stuff, right? So you can, you know, you can see, you know, were there any comments? How many people clicked on the link?
Yeah, there's all sorts of feedback. It was really, really useful.
Yeah, and that's really good, right? Because if you need to, you know, social proof, you know, if a sponsor has, you know, if an event sponsor, an exhibitor, a sponsor, whatever, if they give you something to tweet out, you can go back to them and say, hey, we sent this out and it got 47 clicks.
We should do it again.
That people are paying attention.
So therefore, you can go to sent posts, and you can actually go and look back and you can say, oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of here that I could redo. So here's a cool tool you need to know about humans. One of my previous episodes, something I already tweeted out. Therefore, I'm going to share again. Now, again, I've got the same options. So share now, share next, schedule post. But I'm just going to go add to queue. And you can see it's got the image from the YouTube channel. I can now go back into the queue. And as you can see, I now have 2 posts. One is a fresh one that we just clipped from the web. Second one is something I sent out back.
And that is how easy it is to do.
Even easier if you are thinking to yourself, actually, I think that video needs to be mentioned first. Click, drag, swap posts. There you go. You can now change the order of posts as you wish. Now, you can also say to yourself, actually, I want that much later in the day. We'll put it into that slot. That's done.
Yeah, it is. It's a super simple tool.
Supposed to suit your time, because you might be looking at your Twitter timeline and you think to yourself, oh, they're talking about this, and I've got a post that I sent out yesterday that also talks about it. I really need to put it out now. Well, you can.
Yeah,
nice and easy. So there you go. Do we need to cover settings, or should we just leave it at that?
leave it at that. Well, because I think when it comes to like settings and stuff, right? Going in, I sometimes you want to show people, but sometimes you don't, right? Because the only way you're actually going to get to learn to know a tool is to log in and set it up. Right.
Yeah.
And especially when you're looking to change times, like over the course of the time that I've actually used Buffer, I used to have specific times when I would be sharing things. But a year later, you want to go back and you want to adjust them. And if you've never done it, you'll never, you got to find it on your own. Find it.
Well, the thing is, if anybody would like to see a more in-depth, and if there's enough interest, we'll do it.
So people can find us at thebullet-list.com.
And all the usual places on Facebook.
Yes, just go in and search for The Bullet List.
Please do. Come into the Facebook group for The Bullet List, because if you missed it, look at Saturday's episode where we're talking about the planning meeting professionals music club.
Yes. All right. And now I get to try our new ending.
Yes, let's do it.
Remember, I got 2 steps to do it now, right?
All right. So let me just say that thank you everybody for listening and for watching and for taking part. And if you want to know any more about Buffer, let us know. And that's it. I think that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Bullet List Show. You can find more episodes on our blog at bullet-list.com or on your favorite podcast platform. The blog has an RSS feed so you can keep up with the latest news. There's also a podcast RSS feed if that's what you prefer. Both details can be found on the blog. Finally, we have a Facebook group where we welcome your feedback, ideas for topics, and suggestions for guests. Please come and join us. We're looking forward